Jazzcast Pros.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Fearless Fridays with Marianne. Today we have an amazing guest. Shana Gourdine's remarkable journey from adversity to empowerment is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, confronting the harsh realities of domestic violence and grappling with multiple health conditions. She refused to be defined by her challenges. Instead, Shana embarked on a transformative path of self-discovery, inspiring others along the way. She is a poet, motivational speaker, podcast host, self-love and empowerment, life coaching, a facilitator of workshops, and so much more. So how does she do it all? Tune in and find out. Welcome to Fearless Fridays with Marianne, the podcast to help you get unstuck, heal your inner child, and reshape your future. I am your host, Marianne Rivera-Dannert, and with over 10 years of experience as a coach, author, speaker, and owner of MRD Empowerment Solutions, I use my personal life experience with trauma, healing, and rediscovery as a catalyst for personal growth. My mission is to empower you to discover and unlock your full potential, paving the way to a life marked by freedom and balance. Together, we'll tackle the tough stuff and find the strength within to rise above.
Hi, my name is Shana Gourdine, better known as the lady behind the mask. I am originally from South Carolina. I now reside in Troy, New York. I am a woman of many hats, but most of the time I am either an author, a podcast host, or working through my magazine of being the editor-in-chief. And, I do my facilitating at different nonprofit organizations, helping women and families and children to work through their trauma.
So you wear many hats. Which is your favorite hat to wear and why?
I love the advocacy for, one, the passion that I have for, helping, inspiring kids to be powerful, knowing that there's power within them and planting the seed to the future of, our kids. And then the other part of what's my favorite is going into the shelters, working with women that has dealt with trauma, because that's true and dear to me, because I'm actually a survivor, or shall I say no longer a survivor, a thriver. I've been through domestic violence twice with two different abusers, and just being able to impact them and walk in their shoes and show them how the other side can look like after you walk through your trauma of transformation.
So you switched the word from survivor to thriver. Tell us a little bit more about that. What's the difference?
I'm not just surviving in it. I'm not just still sitting in it. I went from survivor to thriver because I now turned my pain into a purpose. I take this walk of helping people come from behind the mask. That's where the lady behind the mask comes from. Helping people to live through their truth regardless of what it may be, and to be comfortable in their own skin, regardless of what it is, not to be ashamed about it, not to doubt themselves, but show up confident, unapologetically who they truly are. Being able to help them walk through that pain and make themselves known that they're dope, that they're worthy, and that they matter.
I love that. What were some of the tools, tips, things that you used to help you, number one, get the courage to leave the relationship, and number two, to heal and get to where you are today?
Well, one of my tools was definitely my faith, knowing that, one, this is not the situation I needed my kids to see me go through. Next, it was knowing I was enough and realizing that that's not what love is and I can do better. And if it takes me being by myself first, it's me learning and loving who I was. I did go to therapy, and I also went through taking the steps of walking and talking through my trauma, affirmations, learning who I was, and doing the work of being comfortable with the things that I wasn't comfortable with before, and learning who I truly was and how to love myself. I then also took the steps of forgiveness, and I had to remember that I forgave for me, not for anyone else, because I was ready to show up unapologetically and authentically who I am. And, a lot of this was definitely to show my kids, hey, if I can't show up for me, how can I show up for them?
Right. Yeah. So a lot of times, when people talk about healing and things like that, they talk about journaling, they talk about therapy. They talk about changing their mindset and learning how to love themselves. But there's a disconnect, because how do you go from not loving yourself to loving yourself? What about liking yourself?
Well, see, I liked myself. I didn't let me put it like this. It was certain things I didn't like and didn't want to accept. And it was certain stuff that I loved and would never change. But I worked on the things that made me allowed to settle in the relationships that I was in that I shouldn't have been in.
What were some of those things?
Just not knowing the red flags and just still allowed the person to still be there. Or even tolerating certain things from certain people. Like no is no, and that's just what it is. Or being with somebody knowing that I shouldn't be with them and staying because it was comfortable.
Like, why do you think as women we sometimes do that? Because I have been in
Sometimes
my own.
People are afraid to be by themselves.
Yeah, that's true. And I was going to say that I have myself been in, domestic violence situations, and I stayed because it was easier and better to stay than to be by myself, because I did not love myself. I wasn't comfortable being alone.
Right. And I think some of that is some of the reasons why we stay. And then, I've heard people say they stay because of their kids, or they stayed because of money, or, they might not be working and financially that's who's taking care of them. My situation, I can definitely say that I didn't love myself enough, and I accepted certain things I shouldn't have accepted. I can definitely say that for myself. But now, we're not doing it.
What makes someone, I don't want to say susceptible, or easy target, but what is it that, I guess, for lack of better words, an easy target of someone becoming a victim of domestic violence?
I would definitely say someone that can be real gullible, or even just broken down. Like sometimes you get in a relationship and people break them down, like literally make them feel that they can't live without them, or that's the only person that loved them. And it's like they break them down verbally and emotionally. And then you get some that's already broken from their past. So being that they're broken and vulnerable, or they may not have family, they're an easy target because the person already learned that, they've had these things happen in the past, so I can just break them down a little easier and make them love me, and then just turn around and be somebody else.
Yeah. What advice and what tips can you give to the woman who may be listening, who may be struggling right now?
I would definitely say to any woman that may be struggling with the identity of who you are or loving who you are, kind of look into the mirror and realize that irregardlessly of what you may been through, love is not supposed to hurt. You're not supposed to be disrespected. And nobody has the right to put hands on you, touch you, disrespect you, or call you out your name. And you have to learn the word no. If it's not something you don't want to do, don't be a people pleaser. If it's not comfortable, speak, use your voice, because your words have power. And know that your voice matters. And a lot of times we forget that we are enough and that we do matter, and that, it's okay that it's uncomfortable, because some people don't like having those uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah. And it's also important too that for the woman who is struggling and is thinking about leaving, that they have a safety plan, to ensure their safety, and if they have children, the safety of their children, and even their family, and family and friends, to make sure that they exit in a safe way. Yeah. So you are here today. You are an author, you are a speaker, you are the editor-in-chief to a magazine. So tell us about the first time that you wrote. What was that experience like, and what made you say yes?
Well, it's crazy. I've been writing poetry since I've been 12. And, just doing it, it was just like, all right, I write it. I was in elementary school. It was something I did. It was just the way, because I was shy in high school. So it was just, all right, this is how I communicate. And as I was going through my healing and my steps through my trauma, I started writing again. And as I wrote, I was just going through my feelings and writing it on paper. And as I was writing, it made me feel better. So it's like, why not share this with other people that might need to feel empowered or might need that to know that they are, more than what they see themselves as. And the title of the first book was called The Mask Behind the Mask. And the method to that is that, a lot of us wear a lot of faces. And a lot of times, we hide behind things because we don't want to disclose the things that we truly deal with sometimes. And, if you didn't know me, you wouldn't know that I deal with about 6 different health conditions because I don't look like my story. So the purpose was that book was to inspire people that, to know that they can say that it's not okay and to take the mask off and be comfortable in their own skin and to be true to who they are and just work through whatever who they are. So it was like amazing to put it on paper, to just be able to inspire people to take the mask off.
I love that. And then you transitioned to becoming a speaker, the magazine. You also have a podcast. So the writing came first. What came next? And why did you decide to go down a new path?
The speaker came because after I wrote the book, my world kind of went on 1,000, right? So when I wrote the book, I was like, all right, the mask behind the mask, hey, we just gonna write this. We putting it out there for the people. It's able to say, all right, girls, mommy wrote a book. This is me. I wrote the book it published February 22nd. By February 24th, I was on stage telling my story at a play. So from there, in front of 100 people, I do not know. From there, it went from that to me being on the front of a newspaper article in Troy Records out here in New York. From there, a guy on Spectrum News, that's the cable station that, how they play the news all the time, actually seen my article and I end up on Spectrum News. So it's like it went kapowie and everybody was emailing me, texting me, hey, can you come speak? And so it's like I opened my mouth to use my words. And God had a different path after that journey. He's like, all right, you speaking for the people and you're being an advocate. Now you're the lady behind the mask. So let's help people walk through this as a vessel. So it became my purpose of me taking my pain and making it powerful for others to see that, yes, we can speak about it and be comfortable in our own skin. And let me help you walk through this. So as I took that journey of being a speaker, talking about me going through domestic violence and me being able to take it and turn it into a book and coming from behind the mask and being able to unveil the pieces and show up. From there, it then turned into me going to the shelters and advocating the women with the workshops. So we went from author to speaker to facilitator, kind of workshop thing at, being a coach, an empowerment and transformational coach. From there, it's like, okay, how else can we help the community? And then that's where the podcast came in because 2020, we had COVID. So it was like, how am I going to help people use their voice, but we can't go outside? So then the podcast came in where the power in the voices, which we still are talking about people using their words and the power in their voice. So it's still full circle to where I'm still helping people to walk through their light just through the podcast. As we did the podcast, it was another way of people sharing their testimony. So why not? Let's unmask the people through a magazine because not everybody might not want to sit and listen to the podcast. So let me touch them at all angles. You got the readers. You got the people listening through the podcast. You got the people that, do the magazine. But I took it a little further because I have 2 spoken word albums. So we got the music. So full circle, I touch all bases of all people of interest to be able to unmask them, motivate them, and empower them. And that's why I use the word dope, which is dedicated to other people empowerment.
I love that. I love that. So how do you balance everything that you do on top of being a mother?
That's funny. People ask me, do I sleep? When I first started this, I was, working a lot of hours. I was always out at different events and a lot of things. But what I've did come to realize, you can't burn yourself out and you do have to find balance. And, being a mother too, you still have to find time to be mom, be wife, and just have time for yourself as well. So I, besides, using my calendar and also learning the word no sometimes. Because Sometimes you gotta say, no, I can't do it this day. Or when I balance my schedule, I make sure that, if I'm working all week, my weekends are free. If I'm working less through the weekend may be busy, but I balance it out to whereas there's still time. When it comes to my schedule, when my kids are at school, I pretty much function a lot of my meetings and all those things. I work kind of around their schedule. And then in the afternoons, by the time they get home, it's time enough for me to cook, clean, do homework with them, chat with them, and spend time with them. Then, I have my own me day. That means I'm not doing nothing for no one. I'm going in my room. I'm going to Netflix and chill, and I'm going to chill. If I want to go for a walk, I'm going for a walk. If I want to just listen to music, that's what's happening. So it's just about calendaring, balancing, and just learning to ground yourself. And, because if you pouring from an empty cup, you can't help nobody.
Correct. Very true.
So it's just about not overbooking yourself or double booking yourself, and just kind of balance it out and just remember what's important and prioritize. I go with the 3 P's: positive, power, and position. With power, it's about your voice. With positivity, anything positive, you bring back positive. So it's about the positive vibes. Anything negative, I don't allow it to digest. And position is putting myself in a position to have my own table that I don't have to ask nobody to sit to. I create it, so I allow who I choose to sit at my table being it's mine already.
I love that. So talk a little bit about any obstacles that you may have faced, in your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, definitely the first thing is figuring out how to get the supporters, because sometimes not everybody has supporters, and it's about finding your audience. So I think one of my challenges was just learning and really timing down my tribe and learning, where I was directing, communicating to, because not everybody's for you. Your book, your message is not for everybody. And I learned that, your support might look different. It might not be the family that you expect to support you. So I've learned that through your journey, regardless on how many supporters you have, you show up 120%. The other thing is, balancing out, knowing your worth when it comes to charging and what you charge and what you should charge for when it comes to who you are as your brand.
Did you struggle with that when you first started?
I would say just knowing my worth, I guess, because, sometimes we'd be like, oh, well, I charge this, but I can change it to this price. You know what I mean? Now it's like, this is what my price is. If you can't afford it, you can come back to me when you have that price.
Yeah.
Staying stern with what I charge. This is what it is.
So taking that a little bit deeper, why do you think that women struggle with charging? Not just charging, but also charging their worth?
Because you know what? Sometimes they might not know what their worth is when it comes to their brand. And sometimes they tend to minimize themselves with what their worth is when it comes to putting a price on it. And as you go through your growth, and I call it the glow up stage, my glow up after I grow up. And after you grow through what it is, because you have people, oh, well, you charge too much, or, oh, and they take a lot of that, and I guess they tack it to their mind, not realizing your brand is not what somebody else tell you to charge.
Correct.
You got to think about your time, your effort, and what you put into it, and what it costs for you to do it, and what you feel you're worth. Your price is your price, and that's what it is. Because people are going to have an opinion. I've had people tell me, oh, I'll never pay for a podcast. Okay, that's nice. That's your choice, okay. But people have to realize there's things that comes to function in a podcast or function in your business. So people charge for certain things because it balance out certain stuff for them.
Right. I love that.
So, it's just about being comfortable and confident with your brand and knowing what you're worth.
So that was actually a tip or two there. And I was going to ask, for somebody who may be either in the thick of being an entrepreneur or thinking about starting a business, might be thinking about giving up because things are not working out for them, what advice would you give to that person?
I would definitely say to the entrepreneur or the authorship newer or speaker, anybody that's out there thinking about starting a business or just doing their thing. First of all, if you're not ready to go through the trenches for the business that you believe in, don't do it. because it's not for the weak. You got to be ready for the when people ain't showing up. You got to be ready for when your family ain't supporting. You got to be ready for the no's, because that no should be your strength, not your reason why you don't go, or the reason why you don't do this, the reason why you don't show up. You have to show up because it's your brand and what you love, and you got to keep investing in it, regardless on if somebody say yes or no, because if they can't see you investing in it and they can't see you putting the effort in it, how can they believe in your vision? What we have to remember is that they're not sitting at the table when you're putting it together. You got to have them believe why they need your brand. And I learned that people need to know why they need it and why they need to be a part of it. Because if they don't believe what you feel, they won't get the motion that you have. Every time you walk, you are the brand. So you're always marketing yourself.
Right.
So from the time you say yes to this, dedicate yourself to it, you are the brand.
So you are on the Fearless Fridays podcast. How are you living a fearless life?
Well, I would definitely say all this turning my pain into purpose and helping people being dope is how we live in fearless. But, me stepping out and being uncomfortable, because like I said, in high school, I was very quiet. So to be able to show up confident and the absolutely unapologetically me, I am who I am and this is me. That's me living fearless as far as me taking the steps and continuously being great, taking the strides to keep elevating my business and just living my life of what I love and how I love it, not with nobody else's opinions.
That's fearless all the way. What are you working on, in your business for the rest of the year? What are you looking forward to in the new year?
Well, of course, your girl is always shaking and moving. So I am actually October to be announced. I have an anthology that has 38 authors sharing their Turn My Pain into Purpose story. That title of the book is Turn My Pain into Purpose, and it's basically to help people understand that each pain may be different, but it's all a purpose. And regardless on where it started, is how you end it and how you show up in it. And also, I'm actually working on a new children's book. I'm actually excited because I just seen the illustrations to it today. It's called Owen and the Bullies. And me and my daughters, which are my babies, Liana and Samira, we are coming together again and doing another children's book. And it's basically described on, Owen going through, some kids bullying him at school. And, him then taking it and turning it around, helping others that are being bullied to just see the bright light that they are unique and they're totally a superstar. And just helping them through that. Because, a lot of kids get bullied in school and sometimes that leads to suicide, or it may lead to them feeling depressed or isolated to themselves or them not feeling who they should be. And I think this is my time to also, once again, plant the seed. I told them that they had the power within them. So now it's time for me to talk to kids about bullying and how they are unique, regardless to what people may say to them or pick on them about. They got to just love who they are and know that they are amazing, regardless. A lot of times bullies are people that are already going through their own thing. So they decide to pick on others because they don't understand what they're dealing with and don't know how to express it. So it's just my time to dig in and continue to plant the seeds in our babies and our future.
I love that. Definitely we'll have to have you back on the show and maybe even the girls, to talk about it and share their experience of becoming an author and working with mommy and things like that.
Absolutely.
So where can our audience, our listeners connect with you, learn more about you and support you?
They can find me on Facebook, which is Shana Gourdine, which is spelled SHANA Gourdine. They can find me on Instagram at the Lady Behind the Mask 22. They can also find me on my website, which is www.shinaunmaskingmotivation.com. And you can also get your signed copies there as well. Or you can just inbox me on Facebook. We're always willing and ready to help and assist.
I love that. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for tuning into today's episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to leave a 5-star review and share with a friend or two. If you're not already following us on social media, come join the Fearless community at MRD Empowerment Solutions on Facebook or Instagram, or visit our website, marianneverdanert.com. I'll catch you next week with a new episode, and remember that you are a priority and you matter.